Thanks for staying with us. So Tuesday is our Healthy Tuesday, and there was a story that was health-related that we thought was an important conversation to have. So we got the story from a lady who claims that her husband hid his genotype from her until she got pregnant and gave birth to a sickle cell baby. Now, the husband's family collected the baby from her without proper treatment, but she was later had the opportunity to see her son, who was looking so pale and his breathing was not normal till there was need for medical attention. Anyway, the point is that she was obviously, according to her story, deceived on the type of genotype her husband was carrying. He didn't tell her. We don't know why. But she, according to her, to the story, admitted to her husband that she was AS. They now gave birth to a sickle cell baby, and then she's being faced with the fact with treating this child. According to her story, the story was actually quite longer, where she was saying that she was thrown out of the house, abandoned, and the family took the baby, and they're having to care for the child. But our focus, because of it's a Healthy Tuesday, and the fact that there are lots of people going through this situation where they marry for different reasons, and they know that the genotype is a factor, but they hide it from their intended spouse because they don't want them to know, so they don't cancel on the marriage. What are your own views on this? Have you experienced this? Do you know anybody who has gone through where they got into a marriage with this kind of deception? You can call us on 081-076-41679, 0902-4163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag UWTVC so we can read the tweet. All right, so we're just taking a portion of this lady's story for today's show, because we've seen over the years people have a situation where they were not being truthful. So, for example, you meet somebody, you meet a lady, she's from a very wealthy family, she's well-to-do, you feel that, this is the kind of person that I need to marry, you fall in love with her, and you know she's AS. And if she knows that you're AS, she's likely not going to accept your proposal. And because of that, you hide that information from her. You get into marriage hoping, praying, fasting, scabashing that the child that comes is not going to be SS. So that happens a lot because many of us use faith. That don't worry, this one we're just going to use faith. And science have told us that these are the possibilities. It happens.
1 in 4.
1 in 4, right? So you can use your faith. I mean, well, many of us are Christians here. You can use your faith to carry and say, I trust that God is going to give me AS. No doubt. But what if it happens like SS? What then happens? So these are real-life conversations. I would like you to really share your views. Tokwe, you want to go?
I think it's important that people talk about, we have this kind of conversations because some people don't even know what genotype is all about. Majority of people don't know. There was a conversation, a doctor was saying that many years ago, people will say abiku, and they would say the child is, a woman is having children, and the children keep dying. And they tag the woman as having a problem, not realizing the fact that it was genotype related much later. The person was actually AS, and he had many other siblings who died before he came. And it was as a doctor that he realized because he's AS, obviously it means that his parents were also AS, and other siblings that were dying they were SS. So that the ignorance part shouldn't still be a thing anymore. People should get to know their genotype. Being AS is not a crime. It becomes a challenge when you knowingly go and marry someone else who is sharing similar genotype. So I think the first conversation is go and check your genotype, check your blood group, find out what your blood type is. From that point of view, then you are able to get into a relationship with full knowledge. Larry was saying that you don't go and marriage without getting into marriage before you know yourself. I think one of the key things you need to know about yourself is your genotype and your blood group. Yeah. That being the basis.
I mean, if you intend to not have children, then it's fine. Knock yourself out. In Nigeria it's unlikely, but some people might decide, we love each other, but we're not going to have children.
Adopt. These are options that people can actually consider.
Because if I decide, I love Miriam so much, I can't do without her, then we have a conversation, no children, like you say, option, we adopt. Because the pain is not just you, the parent, the child that you are bringing to the world. It will be the child will be in pain. Sickle cell is serious. And then 9 times out of 10, the child dies at a young age.
Yeah.
And then you are left mourning. You know, it is a very, very sad, sad situation. You know, I know of many couples that their kids have died because they are SS. You know, and I think maybe hospitals now should actually start to tell parents, are you AS? If you are AS, or check, you are AS, what is your husband? Bring your husband in.
Yeah.
Terminate the pregnancy.
Eh?
Yes.
Nigeria, don't believe in terminate. Let me come to you.
Yeah,
Mara.
so I know that churches do this.
Counseling, yeah.
Where, beyond counseling, where you have to bring your test results or else they're not going to marry you. And if it's obvious, you know, they would advise against you getting married. Some people, of course, leave the church and decide to go and get married and pray that hopefully the child will come out without the traits. But for middle-class people that have some money, I think many Nigerians of that caliber are aware of the dangers and also the different options. I have a friend that both she and her husband are AS, and every time she goes to have a baby, they go through a process of making sure that that particular
The fetus is not
gender.
Yes. So they have the resources to do that. But now, talk to many Nigerians, and especially, you know, we have those who are completely illiterate, have not even been to the 4 walls of any schools. And sometimes I feel that, you know, we are doing a good job of talking to those people. But there's this group of Nigerians that I see, and that's where I feel that that's where the most danger is. They speak English, or they speak Pidgin English. They seem to be somewhat educated, but they are not informed. And I am saying this because there was a day I went to a shop to get something, and there were these young ladies talking. They were speaking English, and she had a baby, and they had gotten pure water, and they were giving the baby, and they were advising her. So I'm like, these are people that, you know, you think, oh, they should know better. But there is a lack of information amongst many Nigerians. Many of us are semi-literate, you know. We have to do better in informing Nigerians. They have to understand that there are things, we cannot do things just for doing sake anymore. We need to know the information. That
also includes falling in love.
Yes, housewife tales that we tell each other. We need to do more than that. A lot of us are very religious people. Churches need to do more. Mosques need to do more. Our National Orientation Agency needs to do better in that case. Grassroots level, information at the grassroots level also needs to be better. I just think that we need to be better informed as a people.
Yeah.
You know, let me take Feinsola. Thanks. Good morning, Feinsola. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Morning.
I like to end the conversation. This is my first time of getting across to you.
Welcome to
the show.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm AS, and so is my husband. When I got married, I actually was aware. Okay, I'll celebrate you. I actually was aware that he was AS. So did I. And I did have a friend who was sickle cell, so I actually did know the indication of having a sickle cell child. And what I did was, because you're in love, there's not much you can do, to be honest. And what I did was that there's a test you can get done. There's one you can get done at 12 months, and there's one you can get done at 6 weeks. And there's another one you can get done at 12 weeks to know the genotype of your baby. And it's actually be done in Nigeria now. Okay. So if you want to have a child, you can actually have the figures checked before the baby comes forth. That would, then you can decide whether you want to go on with pregnancy or whether you want to do otherwise.
Right.
That would be your choice.
Thank you very much, Isabella. So technology right now, there are options
Yes,
for the well-informed.
There's a test. Even when I was having malaria, there was a test you could do to check if your baby was normal. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I know, I've told you about her before. Her and her husband are AS. They terminated like 4. Yeah. They have 2 kids. 4 pregnancies because they did the test and they were...
But they see, so those are scenarios where both parties were aware of the situation and chose to go ahead. What about the scenario where one party, and they had the resources to go ahead, understood the implications of going ahead? What about cases where somebody decides to deceive another person to go into the relationship? Because there are people who feel like, I already love this woman and I'm just going to go ahead. I already love this man. Since he's asking me this question, I would hide it. And it's to remind them to do the research and understand the implications of you going ahead. And then for churches, they make it, you do your test and it is sent to the church. So the churches are aware. You do pregnancy, genotype, and HIV, and they would automatically just send the result to you and to the church. So the church will know where you stand. So there's no deception. I think that people should go and you must get yourself.
But even the deception, I feel, is a small percentage. A lot of people just carelessness. And, you know, so for many pregnancies that happen before a marriage. So, you know, when you do like a proper wedding ceremony, you are likely to sit with counselors. They ask you for results. But there are many relationships where it's quite casual or just it happens. And then you now find that you have a child that has SS without...
Let me take this call from Hassan. Good morning, Hassan. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Please, I have two things to talk about the labor and this issue of ASAA. You see, about the labor is this. Labor have to be very, very careful because we have a labor party and we are just out of an election. One thing is very clear. Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu won this election square and fine. So there is nothing about it. Any distraction will not be tolerated by Nigerians. That's my own about labor. And number two, about this ASAA of the thing. You see, my advice is to women. The women have to be very, very careful.
Wow.
Why is to be careful is this, is that you see this issue of marriage, do or die affair. In the sense that I must marry this man, I must marry this year, they must take it out of their mindset. Because that is why a lot of people, they marry intentionally. That the product of that marriage is going to be SS. So why doing that? And what is very clear, you see, Yanni has said it all. Look, terminate the pregnancy because you end up having problems left and center, and it will even affect your matrimonial security. Good morning.
I just got a message. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. This person said, my niece who came in from the village fell in love with a man in Lagos. And one of the things I asked her to do was do her test before we started the wedding plans. Then we found out that both her and her husband-to-be were ASAs. And I told them we had to break the marriage. The whole family pleaded with me, and I said I wasn't sponsoring the wedding. I told them it couldn't happen anyway. So I became the enemy of the family because I insisted the marriage had broken up, to break up. However, they went ahead with the marriage. Today, they are coming to me to help take care of one of their children who is SS, and I refuse to care for them. But now I have been completely demonized by the entire family, said that I'm a wicked uncle.
You should go back to those family members. That's the lack of information I was talking about.
Yes.
This one, they give them the information.
You have information now.
But love, that's the thing, love. You see, we can't really come to, you see, when love overwhelms somebody, that's the truth. Sometimes you're in love, you've planned a wedding.
Yeah. Oh gosh, God bless you. Yes. Because
Meaning that
as you are, when you are crying,
those who don't
you are
understand
seeing. You can see. You cannot cry and then you are blinded by your tears.
You planned the wedding. You're already in Lagos for the wedding. So that's where the information comes, where you can then help and know the baby.
To be told is one thing. To understand it is another. To see how it occurs. Yes, the impact is another thing. It's still the lack of information. It's not really about love. Because if you understand love, maybe the way I do is that you understand that you want the best for each other. And if I feel that this would cause, especially a child that we'll be bringing forth, that we think that's the one that will even show the most love, and we bring a child that has to suffer. Sometimes these people that insist, just take them to the wards, let them stay with these children for a while.
Yes.
I've heard that there are some children that curse their parents for putting them in this situation. So let people understand. For those who make the mistake of they were not aware, that happens. But before then, I feel that you are the only person responsible for what
happens. And society, in this man's story, the family totally demonized him. They said he didn't want them to get married for whatever reason. So that's a cultural, traditional consideration in this matter.
I've mentioned it when we discussed. Okay.
I have a call. I'll come back to you. Okpara, thanks for calling our final call this morning. Okpara, I'm so sorry for
so
today.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'd mentioned it before. I know that it was like in the first date or 2 dates with my husband, he asked what my genotype was, and I said I was AA. But it was something, because he's aware, he knew every relationship. Before I even start liking you, I must know what your genotype is, because I know where I stand. That's why I said the first step is know what your genotype is. And the government might help. There are sickle cell foundations, and they support people in getting their test done, because sometimes when you calculate, for some people, it's the cost of getting their genotype done that makes them not even think about it. That I don't want to pay the money. Yes, people don't do tests because they don't want to pay.
You don't
they don't
pay.
have the money.
How much is
What
it
you will
really?
pay after?
So, and all those issues. So if we have sickle cell foundations make genotype tests free, and there are laboratories that give wrong genotype, and that is also very important. You go and do your test today, you are AA. You go and do your test tomorrow, you find out you are AS. Our system is not standard enough in many,
Big problem.
many laboratories. So we also need to find a way to create a standardized system of checking blood group and genotype. Such a way that we sue to courts. If you give me wrong genotype and you make me go into a wrong relationship, I'm going to sue you to courts. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. That way we would reduce.
I think, because you see, when you take that decision, you are both AS, and you take that decision, you get married. The pain that you see in the future, the money that you will spend, and the worst pain is when you lose that child.
So dreadful. Let me take this call from Bumi.
Even seeing the child.
Bumi, thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm calling from Ibadan. I am a mother of an SS.
Okay.
But coincidentally, my I will get what Doctor just said. But at times, medical people are funny. They give you wrong. They will say you are AS. Exactly what happened. So by the time I was having my second child, who was my son, we just realized that he was having syndrome, all this, and we were wondering what's happening, and then myself and my husband decided to take him to the clinic. I was also suspecting, because my father is a medical doctor, my mother is a child matron, so I'm also a medical, just like a medical child, like a child of parents that are medical person. And then we got to know, and then, there are times that you don't know. That's why I like what Chopper said last. And then, but you see, now when you are now involved, the thing is, when you are involved, then you have to really, get up in treating the child. As I'm talking to you, my son was 22 last month.
Oh.
Yeah, so the thing is that even if you have them, a lot of people don't go to hospitals. And that's why I buy the idea of what you people said, the issue of illiterate, when we don't have information, just like what Miriam said also, and even Auntie also said that. When you don't have information, he's 22, and it's okay. You understand what I'm saying? But what we are doing, I make sure that we go to hospital, we do what we are supposed to do, because that's another thing. Their medications, their whatever. At times we have pain. Just recently, we don't notice almost like a year, 1.5 years, we just felt that, we don't have pain. Yes, we are Christians, we believe in God, and God has actually been taking care of it. It's on that level. So
Thank you so much, Bumi. Thank you so much, Bumi. So Bumi has told us that there are situations where you have it, you have that situation, you have to deal with it. So yes, you're not informed. For whatever circumstance alleges the fact that you have an SS, you're here, it's not the end of the world. You can still raise a wholesome child under the circumstances. You just have to know the right things to do and have the right community to support you in that. So I think that's what we got from Bumi's. Any comments on social media?
If you are the sort of person that, you would not even get advice or take advice for even going into such a relationship in the first place, would you even be the sort of person that would look for the information to take care of a child that has this, So we need to be careful the way we pick our partners.
She moved to America with her child because she couldn't get
to maintain over there.
Correct treatment here for
Really?
There are foundations. So that's what I was saying. People fund these things. Create a foundation to support sickle cell. Donate to foundations that are already supporting sickle cell. The reason I say it's cheaper over there is because you can always get your drugs from, and I know like 3 families one in Indianapolis, one in Chicago, and one in Atlanta, and I visited the 3 of them. 2 have already done bone marrow transplants, and it was funded by foundation. There are foundations. The drugs that they spend, that these people have to take every day while waiting, is very expensive. They can't afford it, but the foundations support. So when we have foundations, people that have money choose a course and fund it so that Nigerians that have need can go to this foundation and say, I can always, at least just get drugs, so that children can live to 22. Sickle cell people can become adults if only they have access to
their
drugs.
50s. If
Children and grandchildren.
if they are it's well
Maintained.
managed, their 50s, they will live above 50.
That is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.